I'm going to start recording. Recording progress. Remember movie phone? I just dated myself and used to call for the movie phones. So excited. Anyway, all right. I'm going to thanks everyone for joining our first week one of the Path to Executive Manager. Obviously, that's kind of your first kind of milestone as you start to kind of even build a small team. Even kind of a hobbyist at this point can sometimes usually end up, before you know it, they can end up starting to people that are interested and want to do this with them. So we're excited about this little weekly calls, and I'm going to go ahead and start with Trish. She's got kind of a time limit. She's actually sitting in her car because she's going on to her next thing. So I will let her get started. She's going to take the first half of the call.
Well, thanks, Chris. Hi, everybody. I'm Trish Kilby. I'm in San Diego, California. And yes, I'm sitting in my car. It's awesome. And if anybody's ever done a Zoom in your car, it's like you have the good lighting and the sound is good. So note to self, that's another wonderful thing about this business. You can do it in your car. So I wanted to talk a little bit, about mindset. And I want to go back to how I got into this business. And I'm a fitness instructor. And this woman came into my class and was like, a guest. She's like, hey, you got something? I do this wine business. I'm like, awesome. I don't drink wine. And to this day, I really don't drink a lot of wine. I would much prefer to drink Tito's or beer or tequila or whatever. But the point in me telling you that is I had a belief in Victoria. I had a belief in Sarah's vision. I had a belief in Scout and Cellar and what they were doing. And so I was like, yes, I am going to do this. But then I was like, how am I going to do this when I don't even know anything about wine? But I started learning and studying about wine and the direct selling space and all that. And I had the belief. I started to believe in myself, because you have to show up as your best authentic self and being super positive and super clear about what it is you want out of this business, right? So how did I start with that? Well, every single morning when I woke up, I said something to myself every single day when I first started. And I said, I haven't told anybody this out loud before. I said, I am going to crush grapes today. Okay. And so that meant I'm going to sell a lot of wine today. I said it to myself, and then I said it out loud. And when you say it out loud, you say it to yourself, well, then you got to write it down. When you write it down on a piece of paper, I put it on my bathroom mirror, I put it in my closet, I put it in my refrigerator. My kids are like, what does this mean? What do you mean you're going to crush grapes today? I don't understand it. But I had a vision on where I was going to be with this company, and I was not going to let anything stop me. Right. So I did tons of wine tastings. I went out. I said yes to everything. Yes, yes, yes. I showed up, and I showed up positive, and I showed up, and I was like, we are going to crush grapes today. And I'm so excited to crush grapes with you. Then, but starting back further, way back when I was 10 years old, I was a competitive swimmer. And I swam in this natatorium. For those people who don't know what a natatorium is, it's this indoor swimming pool. And above the starting blocks, and I would stare at it every single day. The body achieves what the mind believes, right? And that goes along with my shirt that I'm wearing right now on purpose, that my awesome friend Jacqueline Dearden in Aledo, Texas gave me at our second summit years ago. And it says, what you think you become, because it is true. You have to manifest, you have to think about it, you have to feel it, bring everything to it. You're writing all those Post-its down. I'm saying the body achieves what the mind believes. And you all maybe have your own little sayings that you enjoy, whether it's you find them maybe in your Bible, maybe in your inspirational quotes book, anything, right? But you have to show up, you have to believe. And once you start doing this, your whole mind shifts. And I talk about this with my team, that years ago, there was a guy that broke the 4-minute mile in running. Okay. He didn't do anything. He didn't change the way he trained. He didn't change his diet. He didn't sleep longer. He didn't do anything. He just woke up one day and said, I'm going to break the 4-minute mile. And guess what? He did it. Once that guy did it, then the possibility for everybody else became apparent. Don't have to change all the other things. You have to have the belief, the mindset, right? So I encourage everybody to write all this stuff down, like what you want out of this, on the Post-its everywhere. Put it in your car, put it everywhere. One thing I do with my team, it's literally my favorite part in January, besides not drinking, is I try and get together with my team. And it's a great activity to do. If you have a local team, great. And if you don't, you can do it like this. Vision boards. If you put those vision boards there, create that vision board for yourself. Make it for 6 months, make it for a year, whatever works for you. It could be sayings. It could be you really want to remodel your kitchen. And how are you going to do that? By crushing grapes, by working your wine business, right? So on your vision board, say you have kitchen remodeling stuff everywhere. For me, I really wanted to take my daughter to Europe for her 18th birthday and graduation. So, and I had a couple of years to do that. So every year on my vision board, I would put something about Italy in there and something about Greece in there. And every day I stared at that vision board because I had my bedside table on the side there. So when I woke up, I said my little mantra, I looked up at it, I had that vision, and I was going to go forward. Because when you go down that negative rabbit hole, it's really hard to get out. And does anybody want to be around anybody when they're down that negative rabbit hole? Because I can tell you, it's not fun. But it's okay if you need to vent, but vent and get over it, right? If you start going down a little rabbit hole, what I love to do, and it has shown that it works, is to get outside, get some exercise, get some vitamin D, and get that mind shift right away, because it really makes a huge, huge difference. Am I missing anything, Chris? Someone just said you don't want to be around yourself. You don't want to be around yourself when you're negative. Yeah, who wants to be around you when you're negative? No one. You don't even want to be around yourself, right? So you need that reset. So the exercise and the vitamin D is what I do. Walk away. And I do this also with my family. I'm a big proponent in breathing exercises, the Wim Hof style and the cold plunge and saunas and all that. That is a great mental shift for everybody. And one of these days, I am going to get Chris Zielinski in a 37-degree pool. I got Victoria in there. I'll get Chris in there one of these times. I feel it. I feel it. Does anybody have any? Oh, and I do have a lot of podcasts and books that I like. And what I thought I would do is put those in the comments after we post the link. I am not a giant reader, but I enjoy podcasts. I do have, a bunch of books that people have given me throughout the years, which I've perused through and whatnot. But I do love podcasts. I think podcasts are so fabulous. And it's really a great way to get information through, especially when you're in your car driving. You can start it and stop it. You can fast forward the commercials, the ads, all that. Yeah, so I really enjoy that stuff a lot. I even like, you can put in, the Bob Heilig, the Sarah Robbins, Rockin' Robbins, my mindset, who's this. But then I also like to go with other fun things while I'm in my podcast, because then it'll shift me a little bit, right? It'll be comedy central a little bit, okay? And then I'll get back to it. So does anybody have any questions for
me? No, that's great. And so I'm gonna, Corolla, I'm with you. So, I mean, I get in my own little, my ear, first of all, I'm Mexican, I'm brown, so it's hard. My ears are red now. The thought of talking, guys, you guys do not understand. I do these lives, but I get in my own way every dang day. I don't know how many times I text you, Trish, I'm like, I can't do this. I don't think I can do this tonight. Like, I don't think I can do this. Like, I get in my own way and all the time. But it's all about mindset and going, okay, you know what? We're just going to have a conversation. I'm just going to go on here. We're all going to share. And you sometimes just have to get it. And sometimes it's personal things. Sometimes it's just life. Sometimes it's, you're not feeling good about the stuff you're putting in your body. I need to exercise at some point in time.
But I forgot the one thing that I did want to say, because I was talking about my shirt that Jacqueline gave me, what you think you become. And if you start going down that negative rabbit hole, or say you show up and you're not your best self at a tasting or whatever, You know what you could say? I'll take a mulligan.
Can
And
I use
that is
that when I don't want to do a call to everybody? Like my ears are like so red right now. I'm like, can I just take a mulligan tonight? I can't.
you can. It's my maiden name. I had this hat made for me. So it's important to like be okay. If you're going down a rabbit hole or you're having a bad day, it's okay. Just take a mulligan. You're good.
Yes, Trish, you rock. Thank you so much. No, and that's
Much
so
awesome.
true. And mindset. I put crushed great. I wrote crushed. I love to write things on my hands because then I go out and I forget about it. And I like, people are like, what is that? I'm like, oh, I had a great call last night. We were talking about crushing grapes. It's harvest season right now. We're actually making wine. I work in wine. So I just did that because that's going to give me my conversation tomorrow when it's probably on my forehead later. Guess I should make sure I wash that.
That's what we're doing. We're crushing grapes in various forms. Maybe we're gonna have to change it to I'm grounding beans today or something along those lines, right?
Oh yeah, I have so many coffee shirts already. I am so excited about coffee. So mindset, would love to hear from you guys on anything that you guys have. It's hard. Like I'm getting back into tastings again. I think there is this shift, right? And then that's part of me talking about like your habits. Like it took me a long time to getting in the habit. I have to get back into the habit of I'm going to find 3 people today. I'm just going to mention wine in some form or fashion today 3 times, just 3 times a day. As long as I do it 3 times a day, at least I knew I did some effort. I go around with an empty, I still do. I go around with an empty Scout Cellar exclusive, the wine clubs it has. I go around with that in my car all the time. And just because it's a conversation, you know what I mean? And every time I go groceries. Oh yeah, just the box. Just to exclude, because it has Scout and Cellar on it. So every time I go to the grocery store, because I've got 3 kids and we buy groceries like crazy, I leave it open and there's always somebody there. I purposely will wait for somebody because Victoria isn't a perfect example. Walk up to Trish in a class and just go, you need to sell wine. I've been on the subway with her. That woman's like, do what? And I crawl into my own skin. I'm like, oh my God, this person just wants to go on vacation.
I didn't want to take it on vacation.
Susan, you need to mute.
Oh yeah, sorry, and I can do that too. But yeah, so the other thing is that, and I keep it because then I'll take my buggy at groceries and I leave my thing open. I'm like, I got my wine club in there. I'm gonna take my buggy. Don't take my wine. You know what I mean? Like, I just like walk away and take my buggy. And it's just having a conversation. It's funny, the people that will literally approach me about it, and then I feel better. I don't get so nervous about it. They're like, wine, what? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah. I'm going to drop off clubs, to my customer. I sell wine. And so just that, I will just drop it and then I leave it. And then if they're interested, great. If they're not, I'm like, okay, at least I survived that moment. I do. I'm such a mess that way. I am much better when I have alcohol in my system. I'm just more of a good time.
I also like to think about the path to EM, which is where we are in this call. Like we all want everyone to get to EM. And so I also started doing some visualization training while I was in that mode. And I kept saying to myself, fire. How do you make a fire? Right? So you have to have that big piece of log, right? So let's just say that I was that big piece of log and I needed all this little kindling, right? And once you get all the kindling thing, then you get the flame. So I was the log and then all the consultants were the kindling and then everything just grew and it just went. Is that still silly?
No, I love that. It reminds me of s'mores. Sorry. But no, so my part is basically talking about, your balanced habits, right? It's getting in the habit of talking to people. It's 95% of what you do is habitual, right? Atomic Habits is one of the books and stuff. I know I do not do well with books. I cannot sit still long enough to read books, but Atomic Habits is one of them that I did get through. It was actually more of one of those books. I like to listen to books or find the abbreviated version on a TED Talk somewhere. I like that because I'm more of an audio kind of visual. Watching a video, I do better that way than reading. But that's usually how I do better. But you have to change your habits to change your life is what they always kind of say. And so kind of to become an executive manager, kind of get to that next step to kind of build your team. You can't just be simply marketing the wine. You have to also continue to focus on that shift on team building and team activation, right? And so you're no longer just going to tastings or sharing the wine, you're also looking for that next potential kind of a person, and I'm sure we've all looked at that. I'm sure you guys all have that running list. Have you ever heard it called the chicken list? It's those people like that you're just kind of chicken to reach out, but in the back of your head, you're like, oh my gosh, she's so connected because has that Facebook group, or she has that boutique, or that person always travels to Napa and is in the wine country with her husband. And it's that chicken list that sometimes you just gotta and Penny has been a great tool because I literally took all my chicken list of people and kind of started plugging them in there and going, okay, you know what? I'm gonna at least reach out. I'm gonna make one contact and go, hey, you know what? I've been watching you forever. I just love you. I think you're amazing. Like, hey, if you any wines, any gift sets, whatever, but I just think you'd be so fun to do this with. And just put it out there. It doesn't hurt, right? Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't, and then it's fine. At least you're putting it out there. But that chicken list is great. Start that chicken list. And you want to start the dirt list is the other one, right? Your chicken list, your dirt list, the people that would buy dirt from you is the other list that I always kind of refer to. I'm sure there are better names than that, but mine are the chicken list and dirt list. But it's those people who buy dirt from you. It's people that that's the low hanging fruit. You go, you know what, this is such a good time. And I have friends like that. And I felt so ding dongy that my best friend Mickey, I never asked her to join the business. She always kind of bought from me here and there. And actually her husband is a recovering alcoholic. He's been for years. And I finally invited her on a trip. I'm like, you know what, you should do this. You should come with me. Just come with me on this trip, have a good time. And it's amazing the people that she connected to and how she kind of figured out how to weave it into her life. And so I never would have thought to ask her 3 years later that she actually joined. And so it's kind of those people that, even though you're dirtless, maybe those people that you're low hanging fruit, you don't think about, hey, let's do this, And in the beginning, we were doing tastings and stuff together. Like we would split. Sometimes you guys ever get invited? I know now that we're out of this COVID thing, like it's great. Some of these vendor, especially with the holidays, you have these kind of vendor things. If y'all have those a lot in your area, it's like, oh, it's the Pampered Chef lady and the beauty counter lady will be there, and it's someone's home and they're asking for multiple vendors, that kind of stuff. Those are always great that I like to bring someone along with me. And sometimes I'll even use that excuse. Hey, it's this big vendor event. I need somebody to come with me. I would love for you to do this with me. I just think you should come and let's just see, and it's a great way so you can split the sales, you can split the contacts, things like that. It's a great way to kind of bring someone in to do it together, which is always a great way to kind of start to build that team. People that are on your dirt list, and then you go on to your chicken list, as they call it. But definitely through your tastings, you're always leading with the business. And always be looking for ways to invite people into business. So sometimes face-to-face, sometimes posting things on social media. I know a lot of times right now it's really hard with social media because I feel like, I don't know if you guys are always getting messengers from people that are like, hey, you know what? So definitely try, there's a lot of great kind of techniques and stuff when you're trying to like follow somebody on Facebook if you don't really know them very personally, and just starting to kind of get involved. Like I have a set list of Facebook people that I kind of set aside that go, oh my goodness, this lady is so cool. She always comments on my stuff. Like she's on my chicken list. Like, so I start following her personally and I start commenting and start building that relationship. So she's seeing my posts bubble up. So it's not so awkward and a random person just going. And I wait for her to finally comment or to say something on, oh, that looks amazing, or oh, that wine, or oh, I've had one recently. She was like, now the coffee, I've been watching you with the wine. I don't drink wine, but the coffee, I'm interested. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, so I need to reach out and do something with that. So it's just finding those little things, those habits of every day. I'm going to just check. I'm going to follow 3 people on Facebook. What 3 people on Facebook on my chicken list? I'm going to talk to 3 people today about the business if I'm out and about, the grocery store, at school, PTO, whatever it is. And always kind of looking for those individuals that you can invite to the business. And of course, you're always marketing, recruiting, investing in your personal growth, of course, books and stuff, podcasts, however you like to absorb information is always great. There's a lot of great videos. I love listening to John. John's amazing. I mean, I will say Sarah is great, but there's something about the way John McDaniel talks about it. I can just literally start to salivate and just feel everything. He was talking about coffee today, and it was just like, so excited about the coffee, and just, he's like, what is he called, Trish? They said he's also a master cupper. I mean, he's so versed in everything liquid and even food. He's even a food judge, like in part of his SOM training, not just wine, but coffees. Coffees have very similar. I've been trying to just read up and Google when I should be, doing other things. I'm Googling about coffee and wine and how it actually has a correlation, so it's any type of information that you're basically investing in yourself, learning more about wine, if that's where you're you feel you're not very strong in. If it's about, organization or whatever it may be, is that, obviously yourself better. What is it that in your habits that you are kind of being blocked by? And if it's that just getting over yourself, right? I'm sure a lot of people have read that one book, that Get Over Your Damn Self. Everyone loves that book. It was good. Okay. I'm sorry. It was okay. It's like the Hunger Games. I didn't like that either. I said it. I know. Becoming a Person of Influence by John Maxwell. John Maxwell has great books. James Clear did Atomic Habits. There are a lot of great things that are out there. And of course, Penny is one of the greatest. I'm so ADHD. I did not get on the Penny train early. And I had that opportunity as a leader to get on the Penny train, and I didn't. And it is really kind of neat to kind of build those things. And we want to start sharing scripts and stuff to kind of help reach out. But it's a great tool to kind of build those steady habits if you're not really good at that, because it does. You can sign up for notifications. It even emails me, and I'm like, dang it, I just need to at least cross a few of those things off my list. So that's a great thing, just to kind of get used to those daily tasks each day. And this is really kind of our first step. The other paths kind of get a little more deeper into things, of course, and really kind of working on it, going into your back office and utilizing tools. This was really just making sure that you guys, those things are always your own way. Your own mindset is really the number one thing to go. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get back into this and get back into it, start it, grow it, whatever it may be. And this, guys, just is your chance. I mean, you have us to just have a conversation, to talk about things that you're struggling with. Are you having trouble, breaking the seal? Sorry. This is why I'm not allowed on calls. Those kinds of things, and talking to people. Is it approaching people? Did you get too many no's? What is it that you guys are struggling with? And we can stop recording. If you guys just want to be able to talk and be real, we can totally do that. This is your time. Drinking. Am I drinking?
Can I?
Yeah, Chris, are you going to stop recording?
Yep.
You don't have to stop recording if everybody wants to see my lovely face.
I'll keep it. Go ahead, Amy.
So you kind of started to broach the subject. My biggest thing has just been, I feel like I hit brick walls quite frequently. So I have people that seem super interested, and then I reach out to them, and it's like 2 days later, sometimes it's like we never had a conversation at all. And they're like, oh, I don't know, like, never mind. I think I'm not sure if I want to do it anymore. Like, and they just either that or completely ghost, or like, it's very difficult. I find it very difficult to sign people up for whatever reason. And then I see like not everybody else, excuse me, but I see that a lot of other people are like, oh, I have like 300 consultants under me. And I'm like, okay, well, I did just recently get my second one. So now I have two.
Yes.
And the woman that just joined me, like, we've been in quite a bit of contact, and like it's going really, really well. And I have high hopes, but I'm also like nervous that she's gonna, that she's gonna leave me also, or you know what I mean? No, like, so I feel like I'm super passionate, and I try to really make that not come across as pushy, or like, I only want to work with people that want to work with me, blah, 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 blah. But like, it just hasn't clicked. And I think it's hard when that happens. So that's my experience so far.
Yes. And I will say, and I know it's hard. It's you. Some people like this, some people don't, but you basically have to recruit the masses and train the stars. You basically have to ask 10 people for that one, and even though sometimes you get so hyper-focused on that one, you need to make sure I literally try to make sure I have 3 conversations going with somebody, because if not, I get so hyper-focused on that one. I get so eager beaver, and I'm like all in their business. And I'm like, oh, I literally just made them not like me. Like, I literally gave them way too much information. So it's almost like you have to think of like a little like a man, like the date. Remember the old school dating thing? You got to wait 3 days to call them back, or what? That kind of thing. You have to kind of give them a little, and then go. And then a lot of times, I have many times made up a pretend tasting. Hey, listen, I know we're talking about the business, but hey, we're just getting together this weekend. I'm having a little tasting with a couple of my neighbor friends and whatever, or couples. And because, because sometimes there are a couple people, I have to watch this. Sometimes there's people that you notice they do everything together with a couple, or they're always with the same group. And so I try to like stalk people a little bit on Facebook to kind of figure out what it is and go, oh, you know what, if you want, everyone is bringing 2 friends and we're doing a little thing, and you can get some prizes or whatever. Or, hey, we're doing a couples thing and I'll just make up a quick tasting. And then I'd have my dirt list of friends, which are my dirt customers that I know I can very easily go, I need to get a tasting together really fast this Friday because I got this person coming and I need you guys who want to come drink wine. And they're like, yes. Sometimes it's just putting that back out, just putting out a tasting, right? Not about the biz, draw them back into the wine, because when they're face to face with you, it's a little easier sometimes to have. If they're not in the same city or town as you, then a lot of times, depending on what the individual is, I've used my Sky wallets or whatever it is and actually like sent them something and said, hey, you know what? I'm doing a same thing. I've done a Zoom tasting. Just, hey, I'm getting some friends together. We're doing some funny Kahoot stuff. If you want to get on, it's just a girl's thing. I don't want to pressure you about the biz. I get it. Everybody's busy. But busy people is what we like. I always those little drops, right? But hey, just get on. We're going to do a funny tasting. I'm going to give away some fun little prize things, or whatever, and just see if they'll bite, right? If you get a bite, then you can create something, fake it till you make it kind of a thing. If I can get a bite on something, then I will then create the meal around the little tiny minnow that I just caught, whatever it may be, Trish, anything else on that one?
Yeah, but just try not to have that negative talk in your head also, right? I mean, Amy, you know that. Like the second you said something, I was like, nope, get that negative talk out of your head. It's it's not you, right? Excuse me. And sometimes I like to say that I'm an infection because I want to be infectious. I want everyone to come to me and be like, I'll have what she's having, right? And if you put that out there, that you're just like, wow, everyone's going to want what you're having. So just go out there and be infectious, be positive, keep that smile on your face. And Amy, if you're doing everything that you've been told to do, you've been learned to do, all of that, it's not you. It's not you, right? You can't make it about you, and you can't want it more than them, because you said something, what was the other word? That pushy. It's not pushy. Don't take that mind shift there. You're educating. You are educating them. You're not being pushy. And on that note, ladies, I think you're amazing. So excited that y'all showed up tonight. I'm now a little late, so I have to run. But you know what? I wasn't going to cancel this because I think it's super important to just show up and do the things. And yeah, you double book yourself a little bit, but it's okay. You guys are moving mountains right now. You're creating something pretty awesome. So get after it. Thanks, you guys. I got a jam.
Thanks, Trish.
Go play pickleball, Trish.
Don't tell that.